Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible and my screen is visible. So, today we are at day 72 of the daily drill. So, I'll just check the chat once and then we can start with today's session. All right, I think everything seems fine. Today's session is going to be on verbal ability. Now, before we start, there are a couple of announcements. One is a surprise that we are going to release in a day or two. So, that is basically something that should help you go through our content in a better manner. So that is one surprise that you have. And the other thing is, of course, we this Friday we are going to be doing a dash cat. So crack you mock. That is going to be a live mock solving session. So we are going to have it this Friday, right? We are going to do dash cat 10. So in case you have access to crack you mocks, or if you can maybe have a look at it before you do the test, I think that will help you understand what we are going to do in the test in a better manner. Again, I don't know. It has been hyped to be a difficult mock. In fact, I've heard people say that it is probably the most difficult mock of the season. So that is one thing that we have. Plus, we have another surprise lined up for next week. So a lot of surprises in the pipeline. Right. On that note, let's start with today's session. We are on day 72 of the daily drill. Hi Krishna. Hi Kanch. My face gives you positivity. Okay, great. Good to hear that. Chalo. Yeah. So we will be doing the verbal ability daily drill today. Again, we have one section that we have entirely. I think it is Cat 21 if I remember correctly, and we have one entire part of verbal ability of an entire section. So there are 8 questions that we are going to look at today, and these comprise of jumbled paragraphs, odd sentence out, and paragraph summary. ठीक है तो उस टाइम तक कैट के अंदर फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स वाले क्वेश्चंस नहीं आए थे सो वी आर गोइंग टू लुक एट दी 3 question types that I just mentioned. And yeah, it's going to be a relatively short session, maybe. So we will have a look at these questions quickly and then we will see what we can make of it. Those of you who haven't taken it in the form of a test, I would strongly recommend that you do that. The link to the portal that hosts all these tests is there in the description box below. So 0.99.learnist.com is where you can go and you can just have a look at all the tests that we have put up over the last many days now, right? So 72 day is where we are at. So you can take these tests over your next 50 odd days and make sure that you are in the right frame of mind come the CAT 2024, right? So that is basically what we are going to do today. So without further ado, let's start with today's session. In case there is something that you are not able to figure out, or if there is something that you need more clarity on, let me know in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat throughout the session. Just that there will be a bit of a lag in terms of when you post the message and when I see it. So there is a chance that I might reply to you after 30, 40, 50 seconds of you posting the message. वो हो सकता है, right? So make sure that you stay put and let me know in case there's something that goes unanswered. Okay, just give me a second. All right. So let's start with the first question. This question is on paragraph summary. So it's a para summary question. Now, as all of you would be knowing, paragraph summary questions involve a short paragraph that would be given to you, which comprises of 3, 4, 5 lines generally, and it is followed by 4 alternative summaries. You have to figure out which summary would paraphrase whatever has been given in the passage in the best possible manner. Okay, so अब यहाँ पे let's read the passage first. Let's try to see what all are the key highlights of that particular paragraph, and then try to see what our answer should have, and then we will look at the options that we have. So instead of looking at the options at the very beginning, it's always recommended that you look at the paragraph first, figure out what your answer is going to be, and then have a look at the options that would have been given to you. Now, McGurk and MacDonald in 1976 reported a powerful multisensory illusion. So, powerful multisensory illusion. कुछ तो illusion यहाँ पे दिख रहा है. Occurring with audio-visual speech. They recorded a voice articulating a consonant ba 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 and dubbed it with a face articulating another consonant ga ga ga. So the voice is saying ba 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 and dub किया उसको with a face which says ga ga ga. ठीक है. Although the acoustic speech signal was well recognized alone, so सिर्फ उसको standalone अगर कोई सुनता, so then they would have recognized it as being a ba 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 sound. Um, इट वॉज हर्ड एज अनदर कॉन्सोनेंट आफ्टर डबिंग विद इनकॉन्ग्रुएंट विजुअल स्पीच। तो मतलब विजुअल स्पीच और ऑडिटरी स्पीच, ये दोनों को, अकूस्टिक स्पीच, ये दोनों को मिक्स करके जब उन्होंने बनाया तो कुछ अलग ही चीज लोगों को सुनाई दिया, राइट? इट वॉज परसीव्ड एज समथिंग एल्स, डा डा डा. So although originally the sound was ba 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 and the face said ga ga ga, the listener heard da da da. That was the illusion. The illusion, termed as the McGurk effect, has been replicated many times and it has sparked an abundance of research. The reason for the great impact is that this is a striking demonstration of multisensory integration, where the auditory and visual information is merged into a unified integrated person. Okay, so more or less we are able to understand what is being mentioned here. So we know there are a couple of things at play here. One, whatever is the recorded sound and whatever is the visual dubbing that has been done. तो रिकॉर्डेड साउंड कुछ चल रहा है, विजुअल डबिंग कुछ चल रहा है. रिकॉर्डेड साउंड पीपल कैन परस्यू दैट नो इट इज बा बा बा, बट बिकॉज उसके ऊपर डबिंग करके कुछ अलग साउंड बनाया गया है, अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल विल सी द कॉम्बिनेशन एंड विल परसीव इट टू बी डा डा डा. सो यहाँ पे ऑडिटरी स्टिमुलस कुछ और है, विजुअल स्टिमुलस कुछ और है. दैट्स व्हाई द ब्रेन इज गेटिंग कंफ्यूज्ड एंड कुछ इनकॉन्ग्रुएंट विजुअल स्पीच मिलता है, कुछ जो है ही नहीं, मतलब कॉन्ग्रुएंट ही नहीं है कोई भी चीज को लेके. दैट इज बेसिकली द प्रॉब्लम. नाउ इट इज कॉल्ड द मैकगर्ग इफेक्ट. बहुत सारे लोगों ने इसको किया हुआ है, फेयरली स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. एंड द रीजन फॉर द ग्रेट इम्पैक्ट, इम्पैक्ट क्यों है इसका, मतलब इतना रिसर्च क्यों किया है? इट इज अ स्ट्राइकिंग डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन ऑफ समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मल्टी सेंसरी इंटीग्रेशन. मल्टी सेंसरी इंटीग्रेशन मतलब बहुत सारे सेंसरी ऑर्गन्स एक साथ आ गए हैं. इन दिस केस ऑडिटरी एंड विजुअल इंफॉर्मेशन इज मर्ज्ड इनटू अ यूनिफाइड इंटीग्रेटेड पर्सन. सो परसेप्शन कुछ अलग ही चल रहा है. ठीक है. सो व्हाट आर द मेन थिंग्स हियर? मैकगर्ग का पूरा एक्सपेरिमेंट, जहां पे मल्टी सेंसरी इल्यूजन बनता है, ऑडिटरी एंड विजुअल स्टिमुलस टुगेदर दे कम एंड दे विल क्रिएट समथिंग व्हिच पीपल माइट नॉट बी एबल टू परसीव करेक्टली. दैट इज बेसिकली द पॉइंट हियर. ठीक है. लेट्स लुक एट द ऑप्शंस. When the auditory speech signal does not match the visual speech movements, the acoustic speech signal is confusing and integration of the two is imperfect. Hi Diksha, good evening. When the auditory speech signal does not match the visual speech movements, यहाँ तक ठीक चल रहा है. The acoustic speech signal is confusing and the integration of the two is imperfect. अब integration of the two is imperfect, क्या ये बोल सकते हैं क्या कि integration ठीक नहीं है करके? Also on the other hand, ये पूरा का पूरा passage entirely is based on the experiment by Mr. McGurk and Mr. McDonald. But यहाँ पे McGurk effect दिया हुआ है, McGurk का नाम लिखा हुआ है, यहाँ पे McGurk का कुछ mention ही नहीं है. ठीक है. So although the first part is definitely right, the acoustic speech signal is confusing. अब acoustic speech signal confusing नहीं है. Acoustic speech signal was well recognized alone, तो वो confusing नहीं है. Integration of two might be confusing. So यहाँ पे this is a problematic area. Integration of two is imperfect. ठीक है, मतलब perfect तो नहीं, imperfect तो शायद नहीं बोल सकते, but make sense. चलो, but McGurk कहीं पे दिया नहीं है. So this is questionable on a lot of fronts. So I might not want to go with this as my first answer. Second, when the quality of auditory information is poor, the visual information wins over the auditory information. अब quality of auditory information poor है करके कहाँ पे बोला गया है? Quality was very good, acoustic signal was well recognized alone. तो ये पूरा का पूरा out of context है. This is completely out of context when it comes to what has been mentioned in the paragraph. Third, the McGurk effect. Finally, someone is talking about McGurk, which is a demonstration of multi-sensory integration. Yes, it is. Has been replicated many times. Is this the summary of the passage? कि भाई मैकगर्क इफेक्ट जो है मल्टी सेंसरी इंटीग्रेशन है, उसको बहुत बार रेप्लिकेट किया है. आई एम वेस्टिंग माय वर्ड्स है ना बाय सेइंग रेप्लिकेटेड मेनी टाइम्स. ऑल्दो यहाँ पे लिखा है रेप्लिकेटेड मेनी टाइम्स एंड ये पूरा का पूरा यहाँ पे उठा के डाल दिया है दैट इट हैज बीन रेप्लिकेटेड मेनी टाइम्स. बट ठीक है, मैकगर्क इफेक्ट हैज बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड, मल्टी सेंसरी इंटीग्रेशन भी है, बट रेप्लिकेटेड मल्टी मेनी टाइम्स इज बेसिकली वेस्ट ऑफ स्पेस. लेट्स सी इफ ऑप्शन डी इज बेटर, नहीं तो सी लुक्स फाइन. Visual speech mismatched with auditory speech can result in the perception of an entirely different message. This illusion is known as the McGurk effect. Great. अब यहाँ पे McGurk effect बताया गया है. Multisensory integration का पॉइंट क्या है वो बताया गया है. विजुअल स्पीच को मिसमैच कर दिया विद ऑडिटरी स्पीच. क्वालिटी की बात नहीं की है as has been mentioned in the first couple of things, right? Result can result in the perception of an entirely different message. तो यहाँ पे ना मैसेज पूरा चेंज हो सकता है. That is basically the point of it. Incongruent visual speech से डब किया उसको. The illusion termed as this thing sparked an abundance of research, कुछ है, and is merged into a unified integrated person. Right? So यहाँ पे this is basically what is being mentioned here. Entirely different message. That is what we are trying to say. So the correct answer is option D. A नहीं होगा because A has a lot of plot holes. First part is fine. Auditory speech does not match visual speech movements. Perfectly fine. कोई problem नहीं है. But एक तो मैकगर्क का नाम नहीं दिया हुआ है. ऑडिटरी अकोस्टिक स्पीच सिग्नल इज कंफ्यूजिंग बोला गया है. अकोस्टिक स्पीच सिग्नल नॉट कंफ्यूजिंग. तो जो विजुअल है वो भी तो कंफ्यूजिंग है ना. विजुअल में भी तो गा 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 बोल रहे हैं, विजुअल में थोड़ी डा 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 बोल रहे हैं. सो विजुअल भी कंफ्यूजिंग है अगर ऑडिटरी कंफ्यूजिंग है तो, अकूस्टिक कंफ्यूजिंग है तो. दैट्स व्हाई ए इज नॉट राइट. B is not right. C is fine, but has been replicated many times is not the point of the passage. What is the McGurk effect is the point of the paragraph, right? So C is not right. D will be the answer. So Diksha, your answer is correct. Fine. I hope this is clear to everyone. In case it's something that you're not able to understand, कुछ भी अगर gap है तो let me know in the chat. I will go back to the question and I'll explain it to you. Don't worry. ठीक है. Now in this question that you have, there are 5 statements that have been given to you. So you have to find what is the odd sentence out. तो 5 सेंटेंस में से 4 sentences can be used to form a paragraph, but there is one sentence that is the odd sentence out that will not be a part of that paragraph. तो अपने को पता करना है कि कौन सा स्टेटमेंट है जो पैराग्राफ के अंदर आएगा ही. ठीक है. सो लेट्स सी. The legal status of resources mined in space remains ambiguous. तो अब यहाँ पे resources mined in space, तो स्पेस के अंदर कोई रिसोर्स है ना, उसको जो माइन करते हैं, निकालते हैं, that is basically what we're talking about. And while the market for asteroid minerals is currently non-existent, asteroid minerals का कोई मार्केट नहीं है, nobody wants to buy it, nobody wants to sell it. This is likely to change as technical hurdles diminish. So अभी there are technical hurdles कि I cannot come and say कि asteroid का mineral खरीद लो. You can't say that मुझे asteroid का mineral बेचो करके. It cannot be an open transaction. That is why it is currently non-existent. It might change as the technical hurdles diminish. ठीक है? So that is what we are trying to say here. So more or less, if you take this sentence as a part of the paragraph, we are thinking about minerals or resources mined in space. Next, outer space is a commons and all of it is open for exploration, right? So it's a common space is what we are being told here. However, space law developed in the 1950s and 60s is state centric and arguably ill suited to commercial future. अब यहाँ पे भी सेम चीज है. आउटर स्पेस के एक्सप्लोरेशन की बात कर रहे हैं. एक्सप्लोरेशन कुड बी ऑफ रिसोर्सेज दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. एंड स्पेस लॉ जो क्या था वो स्टेट सेंट्रिक है एंड आर्ग्यूबली इल सूटेड टू अ कमर्शियल फ्यूचर. मतलब यहाँ पे भी हम लोग कमर्शियल फ्यूचर या मार्केट की बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. सो टू is linked to one. I will not say directly linked और एकदम proper pair ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, but two basically talks about the same thing that one is talking. ठीक है. Third, laws adopted by the US and Luxembourg are first steps, right? But they only protect firms from competing claims by their compatriots. A Chinese company will not be bound by US law. तो अब यहाँ पे बोल रहे हैं कि भाई कंपीटिंग क्लेम्स बाय द कंपेट्रियट्स के लिए ही कर सकते हैं. सो यूएस वाला बोलेगा कि भाई यूएस लॉ के अंदर जो है ना वो यूएस के कंपनीज के बीच के फाइट्स को ही रिजॉल्व करेंगे. तो यूएस का एक कंपनी बोलता है कि अरे ये यूएस के दूसरे कंपनी ने ना प्रॉब्लम क्या ये बराबर नहीं है करके, देन मे बी the US law has a provision to resolve the conflict between two parties from the US, but Chinese company will not be bound by US law. तो ये भी ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे भी we are talking about law here. अब ये law कौन सा है अपने को पता नहीं है, but mostly we are talking about technical hurdles and we are talking about space law. तो ये सारी चीजें हम बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. And developed in the 1950s and 60s की बात कर रहे हैं. So let's see what we are talking about here. Fourth, critics say that the US is conferring rights that it has no authority to confer. Russia in particular has condemned this, citing the US's disrespect for international law. अब US is conferring rights that it has no authority to confer, ठीक है, which is fine. ऊपर क्या दिया हुआ है कि US वाले जो है ना वो compatriots के लिए ही मतलब they will protect firms, right? They cannot overextend their geography. वो अपने बाहर जाके नहीं बोल सकते. That is what I'm saying. Russia in particular has condemned this, citing the US's disrespect for international law. अब ये इंटरनेशनल लॉ कहां से आ गया? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पेस लॉ. इंटरनेशनल लॉ इज डिफरेंट, स्पेस लॉ शुड बी डिफरेंट. लास्ट में भी देख लेते हैं. एट इशू नाउ इज कमर्शियल एक्टिविटी एज प्राइवेट फर्म्स रादर देन नेशन स्टेट्स लुक टू स्पेस फॉर प्रॉफिट. अगेन स्पेस और प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी की बात हो रही है. सो रिसोर्सेज माइंड इन स्पेस एंड मार्केट फॉर एस्ट्रॉयड मिनरल्स आगे जाके बढ़ेगा इज व्हाट वी आर सेइंग. वी हैव आल्सो बीन सेड दैट आउटर स्पेस जो है कमर्शियल फ्यूचर के लिए स्टेट सेंट्रिक, आर्ग्यूबली इल सूटेड, स्पेस लॉ ये सब चीजें हैं. तो ये भी हम स्पेस लॉ की बात कर रहे हैं. Again, we are talking about space and profit. So 1, 2, and 5 are basically talking about the same thing. Na? They are talking about how the space law will control or will look at mining minerals or resources from outer space. 3 और 4 बचे अपने पास. 3 वाले में बोल रहे हैं laws adopted by the US and Luxembourg are first steps. बट दे ओनली प्रोटेक्ट फर्म्स फ्रॉम कंपीटिंग क्लेम्स बाय देयर कंपेट्रियट्स. मतलब अपनी ही कंट्री के लोगों के अगेंस्ट या उनका ही कंप्लेंट रिजॉल्व करने का उनके पास राइट है. Otherwise, they don't have right. So Chinese company will not be bound by US law. तो US Chinese company को impact नहीं कर सकता. That is what 3 is saying. 4 is saying that critics say that US is conferring rights that it has no authority to confer. ठीक है. Russia in particular is condemned citing the US's disrespect for international law. अब ये इंटरनेशनल लॉ तो बोल ही नहीं रहे ना, यहाँ पे बोल रहे कि भाई कॉम्पेट्रिएट्स के लिए मतलब लोकल लॉ है, मतलब नेशनल लॉ है, इंटरनेशनल लॉ कहाँ से आ गया? ठीक है. सो अब यहाँ पे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट थ्री थिंग्स दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पेस. यहाँ पे वी हैव बीन टोल्ड दैट स्पेस लॉ डेवलप्ड इन 1950s एंड 60s इज स्टेट सेंट्रिक. तो स्टेट सेंट्रिक का मतलब क्या है? स्टेट सेंट्रिक मतलब इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वन पर्टिकुलर स्टेट, नेशन स्टेट अगर बात कर रहे हैं, तो इट इज स्टेट सेंट्रिक इज व्हाट वी हैव बीन सेड. तो अब वहां से हम लोग यहाँ पे तो जंप नहीं कर सकते ना, फोर पे, राइट? सो फोर पे जंप अपन नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज यहाँ पे इंटरनेशनल लॉ की बात कर. Whereas 3 is talking about a state law itself. State law मतलब क्या? उसी स्टेट को वो लॉ एप्लीकेबल है. यूएस कैन नॉट से कि भाई चाइनीज कंपनी ने गड़बड़ किया करके. दे कांट डू दैट एट. Fine. So 3 carries forward from what 2 is saying in a way, 1 is saying in a way, and 4 does not carry forward from anything. 4 is talking about international law, whereas it has been mostly established that it is state centric. ठीक है. सो यहाँ पे वी नो दैट इफ यू लुक एट दी स्टेटमेंट्स दैट वी हैव हियर, वन इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द पैराग्राफ, टू इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द पैराग्राफ, थ्री विल बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द पैराग्राफ, फोर विल नॉट बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द पैराग्राफ, फाइव विल बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द पैराग्राफ. So the correct answer here is option 4. Option 4 talks about international law, whereas बाकी सब जगह पे we are talking about state centric. State centric मतलब जैसे United States of America बोलते हैं, right? So all the states come together. State का मतलब क्या है? One region that is present. So सिर्फ state centric laws होते हैं. You do not really have laws that are international in nature. So the correct answer is 4. I think Ayushi got it right. Diksha, Prathamesh, not so much. Amir, hello, hello Amir. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट वन. अभी यहाँ पे दिस इज अ जम्बल्ड पैराग्राफ. So four statements are given to you. You have to unscramble them and figure out what exactly will be the order in which these need to be arranged so as to form a nice coherent paragraph. ठीक है. So let's look at this. What you can do is you can basically maybe pause the video and then try to see what exactly can you come up with, and then you can have a look at the answer that will be there. Okay, so let's try to see what's happening here. The work is more than the text, right? अब the work मतलब कौन सा वर्क मेरे को नहीं पता. So jumbled paragraph में generally I will try to figure out one, what is the opening sentence, and two, if there is any connection or any linkages that are possible. The work is more than the text, for the text only takes on life when it is realized, and furthermore the realization is by no means independent of the individual disposition of the reader. ठीक है, कुछ तो दिया हुआ है, but the work की बात करें we don't know, and the text वो भी दिया हुआ है, but we don't know what the text or what is this thing talking. The convergence of text and the reader. अब the convergence of the text मतलब कहीं पे तो कुछ convergence बताया होगा या कुछ बताया होगा, वहां से convergence of text की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग यहाँ पे, right? So the convergence, Ayushi, you can pause the video and solve it because all these questions are available on the portal to be taken in the form of a test. ठीक है. So you can just pause it, try it out on your own, and maybe you can catch up and see what the answer looks like. And if there's any doubt, let me know. But otherwise, all these questions are available in the form of a test. You just have to take the test, and then you will already know what the question is talking about. Plus, I solve it a bit slowly, so you will have ample time to catch up. Okay? The convergence of text and reader brings the literary work into existence, brings the literary work. कौन सा literary work? We don't know. Some literary work. And this convergence is not to be identified either with the reality of the text or with the individual disposition of the reader. तो यहाँ पे again individual disposition of the reader, individual disposition of the reader दो बार. From this polarity, what polarity? We don't know. So we can't really look at it right now. The literary work has two poles, polarity. ठीक है, यहाँ पे कुछ तो दिख रहा है. Which we might call the artistic and the aesthetic. The artistic refers to the text created by the author, and the aesthetic to the realization accomplished by the author. This looks like something. The literary work दिया हुआ है, and यहाँ पे फिर से literary work को रेफर किया गया है, वो बन जाता है the work. यहाँ पे two poles बोला गया है, यहाँ पे पोलैरिटी की बात की गई है, बाकी कहीं पे पोलैरिटी की बात नहीं की गई. ऑल दीज थिंग्स बेसिकली टेल अस वन वेरी बेसिक थिंग, दैट ये पोल्स और पोलैरिटी यहीं पे है, बाकी कहीं पे भी पोल्स की बात नहीं की गई है. सो पोल्स एंड दिस पोलैरिटी, सो 4 and 3 हैज टू बी अ पेयर. ठीक है, 4 and 3 हैज टू बी अ पेयर. आयुषी, दीक्षा, बोथ ऑफ यू, 4 3 शुड बी अ पेयर, राइट? बिकॉज दिस पोलैरिटी, कौन सा पोलैरिटी? द लिटरेरी वर्क हैज टू पोल्स. कौन से पोल्स है? the artistic poles, the aesthetic poles. उसके बाद बोला है from this polarity it follows that the literary work cannot be completely identical with the text or with the realization of the text, but in fact must lie halfway between the two. ये बोला हुआ है, ठीक है। अभी यहाँ पे हम लोग टेक्स्ट की बात कर रहे हैं एंड ये सब चीज की बात कर रहे हैं। Fine. Now we have statement 1 and statement 2. And mind you, this is a tricky question. This is not exactly a very straightforward, easy question जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं. ये थोड़ा tricky question है. I am sure a lot of you might be getting this wrong. Don't worry if you are getting this wrong. This is one of the tougher paragraphs. ठीक है? तो गलत हुआ तो भी don't feel bad about it. It's perfectly okay. पहले तो क्वेश्चन अगर ठीक हुए हैं, you are on the right track. ये गलत हुआ तो भी it's fine. The work is more than the text, for the text only takes on life when it is realized, and furthermore, the realization is by no means independent of the individual disposition of the reader. तो ये दिया हुआ है यहाँ पे, fine. So by no means independent of the individual disposition of the reader, ये दिया हुआ. The convergence of the text and reader. तो अब यहाँ पे let's try to see one will follow three के two will follow three कहाँ पे end होता है? Text और realization of the text, but in fact must lie halfway between the two. ये दिया हुआ है. अब वो टू क्या है? टेक्स्ट एंड रियलाइजेशन ऑफ द टेक्स्ट, ये दो है. नाउ स्टेटमेंट टू टेल्स यू द कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ टेक्स्ट एंड रीडर. अब रीडर कहां से आ गया? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट रियलाइजेशन ऑफ द टेक्स्ट यहां पे, तो रीडर यहां पे एकदम अचानक से आ रहा है. व्हाइल इफ यू लुक एट वन, द वर्क इज मोर देन द टेक्स्ट. सो टेक्स्ट आ गया और रियलाइजेशन ऑफ द टेक्स्ट आ गया, तो लिटरेरी वर्क, द लिटरेरी वर्क इज मोर देन द टेक्स्ट, फॉर द टेक्स्ट ओनली टेक्स लाइफ व्हेन इट इज रियलाइज्ड. तो हम लोग यहाँ पे रियलाइजेशन से आगे कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं. एंड फर्दर मोर द रियलाइजेशन इज नो बाय नो मींस इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल डिस्पोजिशन ऑफ द रीडर. अब यहाँ पे द रीडर आ गया है. द कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ टेक्स्ट एंड रीडर फ्रॉम हियर brings the literary work into existence, and this convergence is not to be identified, ये दिया, ठीक है, इज नॉट टू बी आइडेंटिफाइड ईदर विद द रियलिटी ऑफ द टेक्स्ट और विद द इंडिविजुअल डिस्पोजिशन ऑफ द रीडर. तो किसी के साथ भी नहीं आएगा, टेक्स्ट के साथ भी नहीं जाएगा, इंडिविजुअल डिस्पोजिशन ऑफ द रीडर के साथ भी नहीं आएगा. इट विल बी समथिंग व्हिच इज अ मिक्सचर ऑफ इट. सो नाउ यू कैन सी दैट टू फॉलोज फ्रॉम थ्री और वन फॉलोज फ्रॉम थ्री, दोनों में से एक. अब यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट एंड रीडर दिया हुआ है, बट यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट एंड रियलाइजेशन ऑफ टेक्स्ट दिया हुआ है. यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट एंड रियलाइजेशन ऑफ टेक्स्ट बोला गया है. सो 4 3 के बाद 1 आएगा एंड देन यू विल हैव. So the correct answer here should be 4 3 1. So who all got it right? Deepang, you got it right. Otherwise 4 3 wala link I think many of you figured out, but 1 2 or 2 1 was the problem. It's a very tricky one. Matlab even I would have got it wrong had I done it without looking at the answer. But thankfully CAT के solutions भी available है, answers available है, solution available नहीं है. So answer key में 4 3 1 2 दिया था and that justifies it. It is not wrong, but it's very difficult for you to find it during the actual test. ठीक है, so that is what we're looking at. Jennifer, in my opinion, how much time do we take in VRC for RCs and VA portion? How do we improve your mock score? So see, what I would generally like to do is, if you have let's say 16 RCs and 8 VA questions, अगर ये वाला फॉर्म है ना, I would like to give at least 12 minutes to VA, if not more. ठीक है, 12 मिनट्स तो मेरे को VA को देने ही है, रिमेनिंग 28 minutes I will give to RCs. अब RC के अंदर भी I will try to solve 3 RCs for sure. मेरे को 3 RCs करने हैं एंड यहाँ पे आउट ऑफ 8 VA some 6 VA I will try to get. तो यहाँ पे 12 plus 6 18 attempts is what I am looking at in most cases, and that is basically going to be my blueprint whenever it comes to taking tests or the actual test or the mocks as well. अब यहाँ पे how to improve your mock score पर Jennifer I made a nice video which talks about how to improve your score from 60 percentile to 99 percentile. So maybe you can have a look at that. The gist of the entire story is, one, you need to practice solving questions, not just read things, but solving questions is very important. One. Second thing, just solving questions is not going to improve your performance. You also have to be able to discuss the answers with people. So if you are part of an institute, if you are part of a Telegram channel, we also have an active Telegram channel, so you can join that as well. So वहाँ पे if you keep on discussing your questions now with other people or your mentors, so you will end up understanding where exactly is it that you are lacking. That is the second part, discussion, very very important. Third thing, very important, you have to understand what your thought process is, because a lot of times we look at the solution and we feel कि भाई यही अपना thought process, right? For those of you who want to start, you can look at the other one. This is a jumbled paragraph. So I'll just continue with my answer to Jennifer. Okay, so in a lot of cases, people think that they had also thought the exact same thing, but then they did not mark something as their answer. So your your thought process should ideally be that you should record your thought process rather and figure out how different is it from what the solution is trying to say. The day when your thought process is as clear and as fluid as the thought process of the paper setter or the video solution, I think you are solved. ठीक है ये three things and fourth thing very important, you have to be comfortable reading across a lot of different genres. So if you are not very good at science, try to read a lot more science than you would otherwise. If you are not able to digest aeon articles, editorials, project syndicate, ये सारी चीजें if you are not able to digest well, try to convert everything into or using a chat gpt and just tell them that you want to paraphrase this or you want to explain this entire passage as you would explain it to a 10-year-old. वो करते रहो, you will definitely improve your comprehension as you move forward. But the best thing that can happen here is for you to discuss your questions and try to understand where your thought process is going wrong, because somewhere there is a gap between how you are thinking and how you're supposed to think. So that gap needs to be bridged. That is the most critical element. Okay. 2.5 for a single VA is not a lot. 2.15 is slightly more for a VA. So let's say you have parajumble like this. Up this parajumble, you should be able to solve it within 1 minute. Like some of you have done, right? Divakar, Deepang have already given the answer. So some of you would have already been able to solve it within a minute. यहाँ पे 1 minute, if you save the other question, you can maybe invest 2 to 2.15 or 2.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes. उतना कर सकते हैं. But there needs to be a balance. You can't give 2 minutes to every VA question, right? Unless you know that VA is definitely the easier part compared to RCs and this is more scoring than the RCs. अगर वो समझ में आ जाता है, then definitely give more time to VA and try to get those 6, 7, 8 questions correctly. ठीक है. Otherwise, for all practical purposes, mostly RCs are going to be the ones wherein your score will be built. 2 to 3 RCs definitely you should be able to manage in any CAT. And out of the 8 VA questions, 4 to 6 is generally considered to be a good attempt. ठीक है. Let's look at the answer here. So Divakar, Deepang, Prathamesh, Kushagra, all of you I think have got it right. Let's see. A popular response. A response to what? We don't know. So this cannot be my starter. It seems all but certain that global warming will go well above 2 degrees. Quite how high, no one knows yet. Might be a good starting point because this introduces the topic of global warming. Burning what? We don't know. This is because trees sequester carbon by absorbing carbon dioxide. ठीक है. So sequester carbon by absorbing carbon dioxide. Sequestering is basically sequestrations होते हैं, filter kind of a thing. So by absorbing carbon dioxide, they sequester carbon in a, right? This is because, what is because? We don't know. A popular response? We don't know. So we know that 2 has to be my starting point. It's a nice statement that we have here. Burning them. A burning what? All but certain that global warming will go well above 2 degrees. Quite how high, no one knows it. Burning them मतलब no one को burn करेंगे. No. A popular response is the exhortation to plant more trees. Burning them, planting more trees से burning them कैसे आ गया? That will not work. This is because trees sequester carbon by absorbing carbon dioxide, and these trees burning them releases what? Carbon dioxide that has been absorbed. Okay. So I know that 4 and 3 will be a good pair. Now we have to understand where does 1 come. Fine. A popular response is the exhortation to plant more trees. Will it come here 143 के 43 के पहले or 43 के बाद? Now, if you think about it, what happens? What happened here? We know that 4.3 will tell about is going to talk about trees sequester carbon and absorb carbon dioxide. Burning them releases carbon dioxide, which is why the scale of forest fires in the Amazon basin last year garnered headlines. So बड़ा scale है. अब उसके बाद में 1 बोलूं क्या? Popular response is the exhortation to plant more trees. नहीं, Amazon basin में headlines था तो उसका response should is not to plant more trees. The response is to this global warming वाला situation. Quite how high, we don't know. A popular response to global warming is the exhortation to plant more trees. I am telling people कि भाई trees plant करने से ही अपना काम हो जाएगा. And then you have 4 and 3. This is because, why are we saying plant more trees? This is because trees sequester carbon by absorbing carbon dioxide. And अगर उनको burn कर दिया तो problem है. So 2, 1, 4, 3 will be a good way to rearrange the statements and create a paragraph. Right? So all of you answered. I have got it right. Diksha, your answer is also correct. So this is basically what we have. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देख लेते हैं एक बार. राइट, अगेन यू हैव अ जंबल्ड पैराग्राफ. ओके. Prathamesh, any course planned for CET CMAT exams? Prathamesh, in the pipeline, but CET is far away. When is CET going to happen? Nobody knows. Is CET going to happen? Nobody knows. In what format CET is going to happen? Nobody knows. So we are just waiting for more clarity on that front. But after that, I think we will have something on seed. Yeah, Madhav, I have just answered this question. Just rewind maybe 2, 3 minutes back, and I have answered the exact question that you have put here. Ki how to improve your score. So one thing, I'll just paraphrase. One thing is basically that you have to solve as many questions as you can. One. Second thing, discuss as many questions as you can. Third thing, record your thought process and figure out where is it that you're going wrong compared to what the paper setter is trying to say. And fourth thing, very important, improve your scope of reading, range of reading. And if you are finding it very difficult to read philosophy or art or literature or geography or history or anything, make sure that you maybe look at a passage or an entire article from Aeon, try to summarize it in your head, and then put it in ChatGPT and try to summarize it as a 10-year-old, as it would explain it to a 10-year-old. That is generally going to help. Okay? Would you have a Q&A again? Jennifer, I'll try to do an Ask Me Anything session. Let's see. Right? So let's look at this question. In the central nervous systems of other animal species, such matlab kitna comprehensive, we don't know. So can't be my first statement. Biologists from the University of Beirut have discovered a uniquely rapid form of regeneration in injured neurons and their function in the CNS of zebrafish. Yes, a very nice starting statement, right? कुछ तो discovery हुआ है. From there, the paragraph can start. So this seems to be a nice starting point. They studied. Who studied? We don't know. Can't be a starting point. ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे they could be biologists. So that is something that we can see, but we will have a look at it later. However, वो भी नहीं बोल सकते. So two is definitely going to be my starting statement. इतना अपने को पता है. Now these people have discovered a uniquely rapid form. अब they studied the Mothner cells, कुछ तो study किया, which are solely responsible for the escape behavior of the fish previously regarded as incapable of regeneration. कुछ तो चल रहा है यहाँ पे, ठीक है. But they studied. Who studied? These people studied. Biologists from the University of Beirut. यहाँ पे अगर देखते हैं ना, इन दी सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम ऑफ अदर्स एनिमल स्पीशीज सच अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव रिजर्वेशन हैज नॉट बीन प्रूवन बियॉन्ड डाउट. अब दे स्टडीड उसके बाद तो नहीं आएगा. However, their ability to regenerate depends on the location of the injury. They studied, injury studied, doesn't look nice. So 2, 3 is the nice link that we are going to get. 2, 3 is fine. Now we are left with 1 and 4. In the central nervous system of other animal species. And 4 बोलते हैं, however, their ability to regenerate. किसका ability to regenerate? In this case, we are talking about the fish. We are talking about zebrafish, right? So their ability to regenerate, यहाँ पे बोला था incapable of regeneration. But however, their ability to regenerate crucially depends on the location of the injury. तो incapable of regeneration पूरी जगह पे नहीं बोल सकते. कहाँ पे इंजरी है उस पर डिपेंड करता है कि regeneration होगा या नहीं होगा. So 4 will carry from here because their ability बोला हुआ है. If 4 follows 1, what will we say? In other animal species, such a comprehensive regeneration of neurons has not been proven beyond doubt. However, their ability to regenerate, right, has not been proven beyond doubt. Regeneration होगा कि नहीं होगा. However, it depends on the location of the injury, तो नहीं बोल सकते. So this there should refer to the zebrafish that we're talking. So it should be 4 and then followed by 1, right? So all of you have got it right. Deepang, Ayushi, Prathamesh, Kushagar, all of you have got the answer right. ठीक है? Kushagra, I don't know. So, see, from what I know, when I was a part of IMS, from what I know, the percentile will be static. It will not keep on changing on the basis of the people who would have taken the proctored SIM card. वहाँ पे change नहीं होगा. Take home SIM card में generally it might change a bit, but from what I know, it wasn't fluid earlier. This year, if they have changed things, I'm not very sure. But generally, it doesn't. Till last year, it didn't. That much I know. But this year, I think we'll have to check with them once. But unless they have done it intentionally, I don't think that is going to be the case. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is an odd sentence out. Question. So have a look at it again. This is, so I'll not spoil. एक बार try कर लेना, then we will discuss what the answer is. So we have 3 questions to go. I can't manage to score good in all 3 sections in a mock. Sparky. Sparky from where? Clash Royale. I can't manage to score good in all the 3 sections in a given mock. I do good in 1 or 2 sections, but somehow mess up a single section, be it VRC, DLR, or QA. So Sparky, you have to just understand what is it that goes wrong. Is it because of tiredness, fatigue? द सेक्शन नॉट बीइंग टू योर लाइकिंग, जनरली वो होता है, राइट? आई लाइक वर्बल विच इज इजी, तो वो क्वालिफायर के साथ आता है. यू शुड नॉट हैव एनी क्वालिफायर्स एज सच, राइट? सो दैट इज बेसिकली दी. अच्छा, ओ. हाँ, पॉसिबल कुछ है, वो तो होगा. मतलब मैथ प्रैक्टिसेस यू कांट, वो यार, मतलब टू पीपल कैन सिट साइड बाय साइड एंड डू द टेस्ट. वन पर्सन कैन टेक द टेस्ट एंड सर्कुलेट द क्वेश्चन, स्क्रीनशॉट ले लेके वो भी कर सकते हैं. सो वो सबको कुछ कर नहीं सकते. दोस आर लाइक देयर लॉस, नॉट योर लॉस, फॉर श्योर. सो डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. ठीक है. पोकेमॉन, ओके. Yeah, so VRC DRQ, you have to understand what happens and why does it go wrong. That is basically the point. So in my case, I will be very happy solving a VRC section that is on the easier side, because I am very happy solving this. I'll be very happy solving a quant section that is on the easier side. But level of difficulty थोड़ा बढ़ जाता है ना. I become slightly more tense, maybe. Become slightly more defensive. I will get a good score. I'm pretty certain of that. But I will not enjoy solving the section, right? So you have to understand what is the problem. Are you not enjoying solving the section? Then you have to tell yourself that you are not really there to enjoy the section, right? You are there to solve the test that is there. Basically, you have to solve the test, and you are not there to enjoy the questions that are there. So you have to be very ruthless, very practical about why you are taking the test. As I generally quote this dialogue, a dialogue from an old movie, Lagan. I don't know if you have heard of this. बट ये कोई खेल नहीं है जो हम किसी के मौज या किसी के मनोरंजन के लिए खेल रहे हैं, राइट? ये एक लड़ाई है जो हमका जीतनी है. दैट इज बेसिकली द स्पिरिट with which you have to attempt the test. Attempt more tests. Try to understand why is it that you are facing this kind of a situation. The next time when you come across the situation, tell yourself the story. That see, last time ना जब difficult क्यू आया था, उस टाइम पे I fumbled and I collapsed. बाकी दो सेक्शन मैंने अच्छे किए थे. This time I have no reason to worry about it. मैंने VRC और LRDI बहुत सही किया है. QA के अंदर I just need to give it my best, and this is the opportunity that I was waiting for. Right? That is the story that you have to tell yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for you to manage or handle pressure, right? That is a very important part of the test, much more important than actual content. So make sure that you're telling yourself these stories whenever you get in that situation. Baki to you can look at the attempts that people make in terms of live mock solving, and that will definitely help you. In fact, I have solved 3 mock tests this season, so you can have a look at those as well. Let's see this question. Okay, odd sentence out. There is a dark side to academic research, especially in India, and at its center is the phenomenon of predatory journals. अब यहाँ पे तो introduce कर दिया topic को predatory journals करके. I'll be very disappointed if this paragraph is not talking about predatory journals. So let's look at the second part. But in truth, as long as you pay, you can get anything published. ठीक है. So publishing का quality की बात करें, कुछ भी publish कर सकते हैं. उसको लेके statement 2 कुछ बोल रहा है. 3. In look and feel, thus they are exactly like any reputed journal. Exactly like any reputed journal मतलब वो reputed journal तो नहीं है, मतलब कुछ तो कचरा आइटम चिपकाया जा रहा है. That is the point. They claim to be indexed in the most influential databases, say they possess editorial boards that comprise top scientists and researchers, and claim to have a rigorous peer review structure. So claim, say, claim. So this is fake basically is what we are trying to say. ठीक है, claim करते हैं but शायद होंगे नहीं. That is what the author might be trying to say. So again, we are talking about fake things. यहाँ पे भी fake things, यहाँ पे भी not really quality content. Last statement. But a large section of researchers and scientists across the world are at the, अब ये across the world कहाँ से आ गया? यहाँ पे especially in India बोल रहे हैं, ठीक है? Are at the receiving end of nothing short of an academic publishing scam. अब academic publishing scam क्या है इसके अंदर? ठीक है? So let's see what we can think about here. So here if you are looking at it, ये तो अपने को पक्का पता है, यहाँ पे समझ में आ गया. There is a dark side, predatory journals. Predatory journals मतलब एक जर्नल होगा, उसको predatory behavior होगा कोई और जर्नल का, right? Other journal will be predatory to it. So I will not allow this journal to flourish. I will eat this journal. I will attack this journal, kill this journal, that kind of thing. ठीक है? So this is a much better starting statement than anything else. They claim thus, but तो this has to be my starting statement. तो हम प्रेडेटरी जर्नल्स की बात कर रहे हैं, इंडिया की बात कर रहे हैं, स्पेशली इन इंडिया की बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? दे क्लेम टू बी इंडेक्स्ड. अब प्रेडेटरी जर्नल्स के बारे में ये पार्ट हो सकता है. दे क्लेम टू बी इंडेक्स्ड. हु क्लेम्स टू बी इंडेक्स्ड? प्रेडेटरी जर्नल्स क्लेम टू बी इंडेक्स्ड इन द मोस्ट इन्फ्लुएंशियल डाटा डाटा, बट वो फेक है. सो 1 के बाद 4 आ सकता है, राइट? बट इन ट्रूथ दे क्लेम, बट द रियलिटी इज समथिंग एल्स. या बट अ लार्ज सेक्शन ऑफ रिसर्चर्स, ये दोनों हैं जो कॉन्टेस्ट कर रहे चीजों को. But a large section of researchers across the world are the receiving end of nothing short of an academic publishing scam. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे but a large section मतलब we are saying that something has to happen but a large section is at the receiving end of nothing short. So this will not logically follow from 4. Okay, they claim to be doing this, but as long as you pay, you can get anything published. In look and feel, thus, they are exactly like any reputed journal. Anything you can get published, but they claim to do these things. In look and feel, they are exactly like. So 1 4 के बाद 3 आ सकता है, then 2 आ सकता है. So they claim to be doing this, 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 this. In look and feel, they are exactly like any reputed journal. But in truth, as long as you can pay, you can get anything published. So 1432 will be a better combination. But we don't have to make the paragraph, we don't have to unscramble the paragraph. We just have to figure out which one is the one that will be the odd sentence. So यहाँ पे but a large section of researchers and scientists across the world. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे साइंटिस्ट कहाँ से आ गए, रिसर्चर्स तो यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है, राइट. बट अ लार्ज सेक्शन ऑफ आर एट द रिसीविंग एंड ऑफ नथिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ एन एकेडमिक पब्लिशिंग स्कैम. तो अब ये एकेडमिक पब्लिशिंग स्कैम तो नहीं बोल सकते, राइट. द पॉइंट इज द जर्नल का कंटेंट इज बेसिकली सब स्टैंडर्ड इन अ वे. So that is what we're talking about. So 5 will be the odd sentence out in this case. 1432 will be a good 1432 will be a good this thing sequence of sentences if you discard 5 completely. ठीक है. 70 a good score, 28 19 23 depends on the context. Seems nice overall, though it's a good score, decent enough score is what I would say without any context. ठीक है, next देख लेते हैं. This is a paragraph summary. I want to solve 1 to 1.5 set in final cat. How should I proceed? I'm ready to put in even 12 hours, but let me know remaining time. 1 to 1.5 set in DILR. Suresh, I hope you are thinking about DILR here. So DILR can, if you're looking at 1 to 1.5 set, one thing is, see, 12 hours effort is not required. If you can put 12 hours effort every day for 50 days, it's a superhuman thing. Matlab, then you have nothing to worry about if you can put in that kind of an effort. But having said that, you have to solve good quality sets. ठीक है, तो you have to solve good quality LRDI sets, which will include sets from all the mocks that you can lay your hands on. So if you are able to go through 30-40 DILR sections, हर एक मॉक के अंदर 4-5 DILR सेट हो सकते हैं, 4 पकड़ के चल लो. So you would have solved a good 200 sets from these 40 mocks that you would have attempted. Also look at the past CAT papers. These will be your best sources to prepare your actual LRDI sets. And my only thing is you have to establish callbacks. Whenever you see a set, you should think about, अरे ये वाला set मैंने कहाँ पे देखा था? Where was something similar being seen by me? तो कुछ तो मैंने कहीं पे देखा होगा which is very similar to this. That will tell you how to solve that particular set. So that familiarity establishing that familiarity takes a lifetime, but it is very important to establish that kind of familiarity. So whenever you see someone who is really good at the section take up or attempt a particular section, you will see that they will hunt for the set that is the easiest one. Easiest is basically the most familiar one. So for someone, four-factor Venn diagram would be something that they are very familiar with. Like let's say in my case, I am very familiar with four-factor Venn diagrams. I will definitely want to attack that set upfront. भले ही मेरे को 10 मिनट लग जाए, 15 मिनट लग जाए, I will attempt that set because I am almost certain of getting 15 on 15. For some people, they might be very comfortable dealing with arrangement-based sets. They are comfortable making 3-4 arrangements के cases as well. So then they will go for that. But familiarity is very important. It's critical when it comes to LRDI, and that will happen once you have solved a significant number of sets. I'm keeping it ambiguous or subjective because it is subjective, right? But to give you an answer, 200 plus 50 odd, if you are able to solve 250 odd sets over the next 50 days, I think you should be able to make sense of at least 2 sets. यार फिर उसके बाद मतलब if you are not able to do it, nobody else will be able to. So that is basically the point. Okay. So let's see. Let's look at this question now. Paragraph summary का question है. Some of you have already given the answer. Let's see if the answer is right. So देखते हैं. Developing countries are becoming hotbeds of business innovation in much the same way as Japan did from the 1950s onwards. So 1950s में जापान ने ऐसे किया था, वैसे डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज भी आज कर रहे हैं, बिजनेस इनोवेशन के हॉटबेड्स बन रहे हैं. हॉटबेड्स मतलब दिस इज बेसिकली वेयर बिजनेस इनोवेशन हैपेंस. दे आर री इन्वेंटिंग सिस्टम्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. प्रोडक्शन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन को पूरा री इन्वेंट कर रहे हैं एंड एक्सपेरिमेंटिंग विद एंटायरली न्यू बिजनेस मॉडल्स. सो री इन्वेंटिंग प्रोडक्शन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड बिजनेस मॉडल्स को भी नया नया कुछ एक्सपेरिमेंट करके देख रहे हैं. Why are countries that were until recently associated with cheap hands? Cheap hands मतलब मैन्युफैक्चरिंग वाले कंपनीज होते हैं ना जो सिर्फ बैक एंड सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करते हैं. They are now becoming leaders in innovation. ये कैसे हो गया? ड्रिवन बाय मिक्सचर ऑफ एम्बिशन एंड फियर। तो एम्बिशन एंड फियर, फियर ऑफ लूजिंग आउट, एम्बिशन की हमको कुछ बड़ा बनना है, दैट इज बेसिकली व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। एज इंडियंस आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज बीइंग मेंशन्ड इन द पैसेज हियर, ठीक है। वी हैव एम्बिशन, वी हैव फियर, दैट्स व्हाई वी आर थिंकिंग अबाउट डूइंग समथिंग न्यू इन आवर लाइव्स, ठीक है, बिकॉज वी डोंट वांट टू लूज आउट। दे आर रिलेंटलेसली क्लाइंबिंग अप द वैल्यू चेन। Emerging market champions have not only proved highly competitive emerging market champions, emerging market में फिर से आ गए in their own backyards, but are also going global themselves. So यहाँ पे क्या बोल रहे हैं भाई, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज इनोवेशन कर रही हैं, ठीक है, एंड दे आर डूइंग इट बाय रीइन्वेंटिंग प्रोडक्शन, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, बिजनेस मॉडल, कुछ तो कर रहे हैं। नाउ द नेक्स्ट पार्ट इज व्हाई आर दे डूइंग इट। द आंसर इज दे आर डूइंग इट आउट ऑफ एम्बिशन एंड फियर। एंड यहाँ पे हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, वो लोकली नहीं कर रहे हैं, दे आर ऑल्सो डूइंग इट अ ग्लोबल स्केल। सो लोकल टू ग्लोबल पूरा का पूरा स्केल उन्होंने कैप्चर कर लिया या चाह रहे हैं। दैट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ दिस। सो विच एवर ऑप्शन कवर्स एवरीथिंग, वी विल बी लुकिंग एट दैट ऑप्शन, ठीक है। इनोवेशन डेवलप कर रहे हैं डेवलपिंग नेशंस, व्हाई, बिकॉज ऑफ एम्बिशन एंड फियर, एंड दे आर नॉट ओनली बीइंग लोकल, दे आर आल्सो गोइंग ग्लोबल। एंड एक कहीं पे दिया हुआ है दैट दे वर एसोसिएटेड विद चीप हैंड्स। तो पहले वो लोग थोड़ा बैक एंड प्रोसेसर्स, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग वाले वो वाले काम करते थे, असेंबलिंग वाले काम करते थे मे बी, बट नाउ वो लेबर से लेके हम लोग इनोवेटर्स बन रहे हैं। लेट्स सी, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज आर बीइंग फोर्स्ड टू इन्वेंट न्यू बिजनेस मॉडल्स, ठीक है, बोल सकते हैं इन अ वे फोर्स्ड लुक्स थोड़ा फोर्स्ड इन अ वे, which challenge the old business models so that they can remain competitive domestically। ये कहां से आ गया, not just domestically, they are also going global themselves, hello, तो domestically नहीं हो सकता, this is wrong। Second option, innovations in production and distribution are helping emerging economies, I hope the text is clear, yeah, it's innovations in production and distribution are helping emerging economies compete with countries to which they once supplied cheap labor. Sounds good? Innovations in production and distribution. So innovation कर रहे हैं production में, distribution में, yes. Are helping emerging economies, yes. Compete with countries to which they once supplied cheap labor. Yes. अभी तक यहाँ पे makes sense. समझ में आ रहा है पूरा का पूरा. Developing countries, emerging nations, innovation दिखा रहे हैं, yes. इनोवेशन दिखा के दे आर गोइंग लोकल टू ग्लोबल, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, compete with countries to which they once supplied cheap labor. Fine. Next, C. Competition has driven emerging economies, once suppliers of cheap labor, to become innovators of business models that have enabled them to move up the value chain and go global. Beautifully done. This is much more complete compared to B. Don't you guys feel it? Right? C is a much more complete option than B. B is not wrong, but C is much more complete. Complete क्यों? क्योंकि competition दिया हुआ है, इनोवेशन इन प्रोडक्शन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है। वन पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई, ये क्वेश्चन पूछा गया ना पैराग्राफ के अंदर, तो यहाँ पे ये नहीं बोला कि व्हाई आर दे डूइंग इट, बट यहाँ पे दे हैव सेड दैट कंपटीशन हैज ड्रिवन। सो ड्राइव क्यों है, कंपटीशन है, एम्बिशन एंड फियर ऑफ लूजिंग आउट, ये कंपटीशन की वजह से दे आर डूइंग इट। सो कॉज दे दिया है, इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमीज भी बोला गया है, वन सप्लायर्स ऑफ चीप लेबर भी कवर किया है, टू बिकम इनोवेटर्स तो इनोवेशन भी कवर किया हुआ है, बिजनेस मॉडल से करे वो भी बताया गया है, एनेबल देम टू मूव द वैल्यू चेन एंड गो ग्लोबल, ये भी बताया गया है। सो एवरीथिंग इज कवर्ड इन ऑप्शन सी। ऑप्शन बी इज नॉट रॉन्ग, बट इट इज इनकम्प्लीट, सी इज मच मोर कंप्लीट। D. Production and distribution models are going through rapid innovations worldwide as developed countries are being challenged by the earlier suppliers from the developing world. अब प्रोडक्शन एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मॉडल्स आर गोइंग थ्रू रैपिड इनोवेशंस, ठीक है। अब प्रोडक्शन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मॉडल्स रैपिड इनोवेशन से जा रहे हैं कि लोग उसको कर रहे हैं, रीइन्वेंट कर रहे हैं, तो यहाँ पे बोला नहीं है, ठीक है। एज डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज आर बीइंग चैलेंज्ड, ठीक है, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज आर चैलेंजिंग देम, बट व्हाई आर दे चैलेंजिंग देम, कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस है वो नहीं बोला हुआ है, लोकल टू ग्लोबल कर रहे हैं वो भी नहीं बोला हुआ है, एम्बिशन, फियर, ये सारी चीजें नहीं बताई गई है। सो डी इज अगेन इनकम्प्लीट, सी इज द मोस्ट कंप्लीट ऑप्शन दैट वी हैव हियर, दैट्स व्हाई द करेक्ट आंसर शुड बी ऑप्शन सी। So Divakar, Dipan, Prathamesh, all of you have got this one right. Okay. I think this is the last question. Just let me check once. Yes, this is the last question. So have a look at it. I'll take few more questions, then we will close the session. Yeah, Pradesh, I intend to do that for regular attendees on YouTube. Again, a request from my side as well. Anyone who is liking this content, make sure that you leave a like, share the channel with people. Let us help us reach out to as many people as we can, because of course we are a very new channel, we are a very small channel at this point in time. But I am sure that once more people experience what is it that we are doing, eventually we will have a large community, and we also get good vibes from people, right? When they write good stuff, participate, attend, like, share, subscribe, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो we also feel, we also get a good vibe from the community. Yeah, keep that coming. Right. And Akash, should we prepare for difficult paper as difficult is increasing year by year like 2018 cat? Akash, see, difficulty has not increased year by year. 2023 was a sudden increase in difficulty, वो भी सिर्फ quant section में. If you look at VRC was one of the easiest sections in the last few years. DILR was as is, right? कुछ ऐसे बहुत difficult या बहुत easy नहीं हुआ था. DILR was how it is. It has been over the last 6 or 7 years now. ठीक है. The only problem was quant. एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल गॉट सो रैटल्ड बिकॉज ऑफ क्वांट दैट उनको लगे पूरा टेस्ट ही डिफिकल्ट है करके, बट ऐसा नहीं था. If you look at CAT 2018 had a difficult quant after CAT 2017, which was possibly the easiest quant ever. If you look at the tests that we have seen, right? तो वो cycle होता रहता है. So one thing that I strongly feel is going to happen this year is that the quant is going to be moderate in terms of level of difficulty. Last year जितना difficult नहीं होगा, VRC section will be slightly more difficult compared to what happened last year, and DLR will stay where it is. So I think it's going to be a moderate-ish paper this year, is my intuition. Okay. What will you suggest? Solving new sets or revising old sets periodically? Kushagra, see if you have seen an old set now, and if you are not able to memorize it, utna acha, let's say you don't trust your memory that much, then might be a good idea for you to look at interesting sets every now and then. पूरा सॉल्व मत करो, just try to see what all were the places where you got stuck or you could have got stuck. वो appreciate करो and then let go of that set. The idea is for you to see so many sets that you are familiarizing yourself with any new foreign set that might appear, right? And that is going to happen only if you cover more sets. It's not going to happen if you cover one set multiple times. वो नहीं होगा. You have to increase your range. Depth शायद उतना मैटर नहीं करता, because कैट के अंदर as you go deeper the sets will become novel, right? It is not going to be the same set, but familiarizing yourself with a lot of sets makes a lot of sense. To give you an analogy, if you play chess, you can prepare for openings, थोड़ा 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 कर सकते हैं, but there will come a point in time where it becomes a completely new game that has never been played before, or we reach a position that has never been achieved before or arrived at before, right? So वहां पे your strategy will come into the picture. So DLR is exactly like that. The more openings you know, the more easily you will be able to go through the or avoid the traps that are there at the beginning. But once you reach the mid game, that is basically when or the middle part, that is basically when you are on your own, and then you have to do stuff, right? But familiarizing yourself will help, right? And also join our Telegram group. So we have put it in the chat, so do join that. वहाँ पे we discuss questions on a daily basis and so on and so forth. ठीक है? All right. And last question जो था सुरेश, इज इट रेलेवेंट टू प्रिपेयर ट्रेडिशनल डीआई फॉर कैट 24? अब तो पूरे पूरे डीआई प्योर डीआई आता ही नहीं है, या प्योर डीआई नहीं आता. सो नो नीड टू गेट इनटू टेबल्स, चार्ट्स, बार ग्राफ, पाई चार्ट्स, बेसिक अरेंजमेंट, वो सारे क्वेश्चंस कैट में नहीं आते. दे आर द बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स ऑफ डीपर सेट्स, बट हाँ मतलब बहुत ज्यादा उसके पीछे बाकी कोई पॉइंट नहीं. ठीक है, चलो let's look at this question, and this is the last question as well. So let's see. Of course, I forgot to mention, but I'm sure all of you have guessed that this is a paragraph summary question. तो एक बार देख लेते. फॉरेन पीस कीपर्स ऑफन एग्जिस्ट इन अ बबल. तो फॉरेन पीस कीपर्स की बात करें, दिस इज द मेन सब्जेक्ट ऑफ द पैसेज. दे ऑफन एग्जिस्ट इन अ बबल इन द पुअर कंट्रीज इन विच दे आर डिप्लॉयड. तो पुअर कंट्रीज में उनको अगर डिप्लॉय किया जाए ना, तो वो अपने बबल में ही रहते हैं. दे लिव इन पॉश कंपाउंड्स, ड्राइव फैंसी व्हीकल्स, डिस्टेंस देमसेल्व्स फ्रॉम लोकल्स. तो वो अपने ही बबल में रहते हैं, वो लोग बाहर इंटरेक्ट नहीं करते. दिस मे बी पार्शियली जस्टिफाइड. द ऑथर सेज दैट यार पूरा गलत नहीं है, इसको जस्टिफाई कर सकते हैं, as they are outsiders living in constant fear, performing a job that is emotionally draining. तो पुअर कंट्रीज के अंदर they are living in constant fear, emotionally draining job कर रहे हैं, तो कहाँ जाके वो बाहर इंटरेक्ट करेंगे. But मतलब the author doesn't agree with this completely, but they are often despised by the locals. Locals don't like them at all, and many of them, many would like them to leave. Locals बोलते भाई इनको भेजो वापस, नहीं चाहिए हमको यहाँ. A better solution, author solution भी propose कर रहे हैं, very good, would be bottom up peace building, which would involve their spending more time working with communities, understanding their grievances, earning their trust rather than only meeting government officials. So foreign peacekeepers है ना, तुम्हारा काम क्या है? Peacekeeping है ना तुम्हारा काम. तो peacekeeping करना है तो बॉटम से अप जाओ, राइट? टॉक टू दी पीपल फर्स्ट, वहां पे समझो कि उनके ग्रीवेंसेस क्या है, अर्न देयर ट्रस्ट, फिर गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल से बात करो. सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल से बात करने से कुछ नहीं. So the author basically talks about a problem, says a possible reason why the problem could be justified, and then talks about the solution. तीन चीजें हैं. Problem क्या है? Foreign peacekeepers exist in a bubble. Why is it justified? Because भाई बाहर जाने में तो प्रॉब्लम है. They live in constant fear. उनका जॉब बहुत highly stressful है उनका जॉब. But they have to go out, meet people, and bottom से up उनका अप्रोच होना चाहिए, स्ट्रैटेजी होना चाहिए, सो दैट दे आर एबल टू डू देयर पीस कीपिंग ड्यूटी इन अ बेटर मैनर इंस्टेड ऑफ जस्ट मीटिंग ऑफिशियल्स. ठीक है, लेट्स सी द ऑप्शंस. The environment in poor countries has tended to make foreign peacekeeping forces live in enclaves, but it is time to change this scenario. Okay, time to change the scenario, fine, but how? The author is also spending one third or at almost half of the paragraph talking about how they need to change it. It is time to change the scenario, yes. How? वो नहीं बताया गया है, which is fine. चलो, this is still okay but questionable, not complete, incomplete है. बी देखते हैं. पीस कीपिंग ड्यूटीज वुड बी मोर इफेक्टिवली परफॉर्म बाय लोकल रेसिडेंट्स गिवन देयर बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. तो बोलने ने कहा बोला कि लोकल रेसिडेंट्स को करना चाहिए. लोकल रेसिडेंट्स वुड वांट दिस पीपल टू गो अवे, नॉट दैट दे वांट टू डू देयर जॉब. ये तो डेफिनेटली रॉन्ग. सी, peacekeeping forces in foreign countries have tended to be aloof for valid reasons. Yes, that's what the author is trying to say. But would be more effective if they work more closely with local communities. Beautifully done. This is what we need to do ना. तो यहाँ पे टाइम टू चेंज द सिनारियो, चेंज करना चाहिए. ये उसको एक्सप्लेन करें कि कैसे करना है. हाउ वुड दे बी मोर इफेक्टिव इफ दे वर्क मोर क्लोज. तो ए इज नॉट राइट. अभी तक तो सी लुक्स फाइन. Extravagant lifestyles and aloof attitude among the foreigners working as peacekeepers in poor countries have justifiably made them the target of local act. बट सोल्यूशन क्या है बताया नहीं है भाई. जस्टिफाइबली मेड देम द टारगेट ऑफ लोकल एंगर, वो भी नहीं बोला गया है यहाँ पे. ठीक है, तो दे आर नॉट सेड दैट दे आर जस्टिफाइबली डिस्पाइज्ड बाय द लोकल्स. दे आर जस्टिफाइड इन नॉट गोइंग आउट इज व्हाट द ऑथर ट्राइज टू से. ठीक है, तो ये भी गलत है. सो ऑप्शन सी इज द राइट आंसर. मेनी ऑफ यू हैव गॉट इट राइट. सो लेट मी सी who all got it right. I think Prathamesh, Dipang, Dhruvin, all of you have got it right. So yeah, that was the last question. So on that note, we'll close the session. I'll take a couple of questions, then we will close the again the daily drill as well. Um, in quant, only 6-7 questions were from a single chapter. All the questions were combinations of two chapters. From where should I practice these new types of questions? So Suresh, see, you can't drive a car by looking in the rear view mirror. राइट. सो पीछे कुछ चीज होता है इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आगे जाके भी वही चीज होगा. राइट. सो वन, आई वुड नॉट सजेस्ट यू टू मेक or create a large molehill out of a mountain out of a molehill, right? वो नहीं करना है. Even last if you look at it ना, if you had your concepts in place, you should have been able to attempt 6, 7, 8 questions easily. तो ऐसा नहीं, ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं था कि combination questions have never appeared in the past. In a lot of years, combination questions have appeared. But last year, one thing that you will see, they had also segregated the questions area wise. तो पहले 7 क्वेश्चन अलजेब्रा के होंगे, नेक्स्ट 6 क्वेश्चन अरिथमेटिक के होंगे, नेक्स्ट 5 क्वेश्चन ज्योमेट्री के होंगे. सो दैट सेग्रीगेटेड इट एज वेल. दैट इज आल्सो नॉट हैपेंड इन द पास्ट, राइट. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट सेग्रीगेशन यू वुड नो दैट अच्छा ये 7 क्वेश्चंस का ब्लॉक इज अलजेब्रा का ब्लॉक. नाउ अलजेब्रा के अंदर अरिथमेटिक आ रहा है ऐसा तो नहीं होगा जनरली, राइट. अलजेब्रा विल हैव अलजेब्रा प्रिडोमिनेटली. अब एक स्टोरी बना सकते हैं उसके अंदर. इंस्टेड ऑफ टेलिंग यू दैट x square plus 2x plus 1 बोला है, you will say that there are certain number of rows and certain number of columns in a field. The number of people who are there in a particular region is equal to the area of the region. तो वहां पे x अगर area of the region है, the number of people will also become x. पूरा मिला के x square हो जाएगा. something like that can work, राइट. तो वो लेवल पे खेल सकते हैं. बट दिस हैज ऑलवेज हैपेंड एट द कैट. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है कि लास्ट ईयर कुछ नया क्वेश्चन आ गया जो किसी को समझ में नहीं. ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं था. द क्वेश्चंस वेंट डीपर देन यूजुअल. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ टेलिंग यू दैट A does a piece of work in 6 days, they told you that A does a piece of work in at most or less than 7 days. ये बताया गया. अब उसको 6 लेना है, 5 लेना है, 4 लेना है, that is open to interpretation. And that is what made it difficult. ठीक है. So if you take this year's mocks, I think most of them would have taken care of the level of difficulty of last year's CAT. But beyond that, don't be so scared of last year का quant that you end up messing up this year का quant. So don't do that at all. ठीक है. Not developed but proper reading habit. What should I do? Go for articles or should I pick up 100 200 RCs and solve it day by day? See, solving RCs is always a good idea, and whatever RCs you're solving now, try to read more on the subject of those RCs. तो अगर कोई RC difficult लग रहा है, again as I mentioned, try to find an article that exists, read it, try to understand कि क्या समझ में आ रहा है उसमें से, then put it in chat GPT, try to summarize this thing as you would explain to a 10-year-old. वही prompt देना chat GPT को. Explain this article to me as you would explain it to a 10-year-old. Beautiful summaries you are going to get. And then see if your summary matches the summary that has been mentioned. जब तक ये नहीं होगा मैच तब तक you will face issues. But after 15 days, 20 days, 1 month, I think it will start making sense. So I would suggest solve more RCs, but read the topics of the RCs that are not very comfortable. To prepare for DRR, I'm attempting all the sets from 2017 to 3023. It is right. What should I do further to prepare for DRR? ध्रुवीर, attempt mocks. तो mock के अंदर जो भी DRR sets है ना वो attempt कर लो. That will add some edge to your repertoire. Because 2017 to 23 के अगर sets देख भी लिए ना, those sets are definitely not going to appear, right? It's not as if पुराने sets को recycle करके दे रहे हैं. Those sets are definitely not going to appear. It will help you understand what is the relative level of difficulty. What constitutes as an easy सेट व्हाट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स एज अ डिफिकल्ट सेट मॉडरेट सेट वो एक सेंस आ जाएगा एंड यू विल नो दैट व्हाट ऑल आर द बॉटलनेक्स दैट आर वो समझ में आ जाएगा इफ यू आर डूइंग इट प्योरली बिकॉज यू एक्सपेक्ट अ सिमिलर सेट देन डोंट डू ओनली दैट do it and solve questions from mocks. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are able to do 100, 150, 200 sets from mocks, previous year mocks, this year mocks, I think you are mostly going to be fine. So don't worry about it. ठीक है? Okay. Love from Dombivli, love from Dadar. चलो, thank you so much for all that love. So on that note, I think we'll close the session. Stay tuned for the next daily drill. Next daily drill is going to happen tomorrow. It's a quant daily drill, and for all those of you who are new to these sessions, the questions will be made available to you by 10 p.m. today. So have a look at the portal that is there in the description box below, and then solve those questions on your own. उसमें की होगा the solutions will be discussed tomorrow. So have a look at that and then you can make more sense of what we are going to discuss. Okay? Chalo. So Deepang, I will try to do it. Depends on my bandwidth, but yes, there is something that I have in my head, but more details will be out soon. But yes, we are planning to do something. Okay? Chalo. So on that note, we'll close the session now. Thank you everyone for turning up. It was a nice interactive session. So yeah, had a lot of fun today. So I'll see you again tomorrow with the next daily drill. Till then, take care everyone. Stay safe.